So let's get started. I am your host, Freddie Freehole. I'm joined here by my soulmates. That is Bobby Brown Bear, and we got Chrissy the Cross-Eyed Cat. So before we get into the Solana news for today, let's start out just by looking at the crypto market in general. We've got, of course, Bitcoin in the top spot. It's been really steady the last 24 hours. We saw, of course, that bit of a crash from over 50,000 down to 42. It's now stabilized and hasn't moved around that 46,000 mark the last 24 hours. In addition, Ethereum, of course, in the number 2 spot, right around 3,400, 3,500 at the moment. It's down just slightly on the day, really has not moved much, and over the last 7 days is down about 10%. If we compare that over here with Solana, if you see the 7-day chart over here on the right-hand side, Solana's been doing great. You almost cannot see the correction that it had. What was it, 2 days ago that we had that market correction? It's really picked up speed last night after my stream. It hit an all-time high. I believe it was at $217. Right now we've come down just slightly currently here at about 5 o'clock Central Time. We're at 192 on Solana. Now, something really interesting here you'll notice is the volume over the last 24 hours. Volume for Solana is over half of what we see on ETH, at least ETH Layer 1. $13 billion in volume for Solana, just $25 billion for Ethereum. And even if you add Polygon in there, Polygon's only another billion in trading volume. It only brings you to 26 billion for Ethereum. So right now, comparing the caps of these two cryptos, Solana at 54 billion, Ethereum at 405 billion, an 8x difference there. Certainly the volumes wouldn't indicate that you should have that much of a difference. And really, as we'll get into later, the usability of Solana is just a lot better, at least at this moment. Now, me personally, I have more Ethereum than I have Solana. My number one's Bitcoin, number 2 Ethereum, number 3 Solana. Long term, it's going to be seen here what happens when ETH Layer 2 rolls out. That's what everybody's waiting for, of course. But as of right now, if you look at what blockchains are actually usable, what blockchains you can do things on like NFTs, DeFi, really the cost of the fees on Ethereum are prohibitive. You're looking at, I checked earlier today, if you buy an NFT, it was about $90 on Ethereum. Now on Solana, you're going to pay just 1/100 of a cent. It's really negligible. So I've been hearing, BitBoy over on his channel talking earlier today about this Solana growth over the last month is really just unbelievable. There's no reason for it. I really disagree with that. If you look at the usability, if you actually get in here and you're not just trading these and holding them, if you're actually using the platforms, Solana is just a lot more usable. You can't do a lot on ETH Layer 1. There's just not... it's just too expensive to do anything on layer 1 unless you're a whale and you don't mind paying $100, $200 in gas fees. Now on layer 2s, we have, of course, Arbitrum, which launched recently. I think that some of the breaks are still on it, kind of limiting transactions. We'll see what happens with Arbitrum. Of course, you have Polygon, which I like myself. I do some DeFi on Polygon, but I don't want to buy an NFT on Polygon when it's going to be stuck in a layer 2. In the future, perhaps we'll have some more cross-chain compatibility. If we get to the point where we can bring those layer 2 NFTs over to layer 1 on ETH, that might be something to look at. Or just having more cross-chain compatibility in general would be key. But as of right now, for my NFTs, I want them on Solana because 1, I can afford to pay the gas fees to get them. And 2, they're on a layer 1. I know that they're going to be there. This, of course, comes at the cost of more centralization in Solana. We won't get in that too much today. But to me, the level of centralization is not concerning in Solana. I think it's decentralized enough to still prevent attacks and be stable. I guess as time goes on, we'll see what happens there. So if we look at NFT sales in the Ethereum ecosystem, There's actually been a sharp drop. This is on Cointelegraph. NFT sales and floor prices plummet as demand wanes and gas prices soar. This is exactly what I saw a few weeks ago. Wanted to get some NFTs on Ethereum. Didn't want to pay $200 in gas fees for a $150 NFT. And as you can see here, from September 2nd, we really saw a peak in NFT sales volumes using ETH at over 50,000 ETH traded. Now, that's really been reduced in half if we look today on September 8th. Probably part of this is due to that crash that we had in the market the last few days. But also, I think that more and more people are turning to Solana to get NFTs. That's part of the reason I'm so bullish. I think that it could really be the premier network to have NFTs on Solana. Now, going along with this, Coin98 Analytics on Twitter had kind of an interesting tweet earlier today. They said investing in top coins like ETH is safe. However, what if you bet $1,000 on a hidden gem blockchain platforms since early 2021? So this chart they have here is looking at different blockchains and what your return would have been if you had invested a year ago. And on the top of this chart of popular blockchains, we have Solana. If you invested $1,000 a year ago, that'd be now worth $138,000. So for those of you who were getting that early, congratulations. I'm sure you're enjoying those rewards. Now, there's several other blockchains here: FTM, Matic, Luna, ADA, AVAX, BNB, Near. And then at the bottom of this list, at least, is ETH. So if you invested $1,000 in ETH a year ago, you'd have $4,710. Now, that's still great. That's still, you're almost 5xing your money. That's awesome. But it really just goes to show, ETH is perhaps becoming more like Bitcoin, where the price gains you can have are more limited just because there's already so much money in. It's already so built out. And compared to some of the other blockchains, it just doesn't have as much excitement and perhaps innovation, or at least we're waiting on that innovation. Now, jumping over here, another interesting article on Cointelegraph released today is Solana an Ethereum killer? This is really a good article. I recommend reading this. I'll link this in the description. And the subheadline here is, with significantly lower transaction costs and faster transaction speeds, could Solana be the most dreaded Ethereum killer? So this is a great article, especially if you're new to Solana. It goes through a comparison of Ethereum versus Solana, talks about how Ethereum currently uses proof of work, which is the reason the fees are so high. They'll ultimately go to proof of stake, assuming that ETH 2.0 is successful. And Solana, on the other hand, actually uses something called proof of history. And I personally don't know all the technical details on this. However, the idea is that you're keeping track of time. You have a centralized time kept across all of the Solana network. And by keeping track of time, it, of course, causes more data to be stored, which causes more centralization. But also you can apparently have faster transaction speeds and faster or lower fees, rather. So if we look here, is Solana an Ethereum killer? They note that the number of nodes is lower. This is more centralized. So there's 7,000 nodes in Ethereum compared to Solana's 600. However, Solana is also has not been used as long. So we'll see if they close the gap there. But certainly it's going to cost more to set up a node in Solana than it would in Ethereum. Now, if we look down at this graph within the article, maximum transactions per second. So Solana says that it can do 50,000 transactions per second. You compare that to Visa, it's double the amount of Visa. Visa's at 25,000, Ripple just a few thousand, and Ethereum much lower. And they also discuss the NFT trend, how NFTs have really been exploding on Ethereum. We'll get a bit more into that with a couple interesting tweets in just a moment. The top 3 NFTs here on Solana: the Degenerate Apes. Those are nice NFTs. Man, I wish I had a Degenerate Ape. A little pricey for me. Soul Punks and Aurori. Now, me personally, I'm happy. I got my soul cat, my soul bear. That's good enough for me. There's a whole interesting backstory on soul cats and soul bears, a little bit of drama happening in that ecosystem. I'll have to get into that in another episode. So this asks whether how Solana and Ethereum will compete long term. Well, it's expected or thought at least that Ethereum might be able to reach 100,000 transactions per second when it goes to proof of stake in ETH 2.0. That's expected probably sometime early next year. However, if you look at Solana, they say that they can do 50,000 transactions per second right now. That's why it's much more usable at the current moment. And then over time, as computing speed increases, Solana expects that they will be able to, or essentially it'll follow Moore's law. That is, the transactions will go up as computing power increases. So really an interesting article here comparing Solana and Ethereum. They don't have really a main takeaway in terms of which will be better long term. That's really yet to be seen. And really we can't even compare until ETH 2.0 comes out. But in the meantime, I like Solana. I think it's a little bit crazy that ETH is so much more valuable than Solana, giving just the usability of Solana currently. Now, when ETH 2.0 comes out, of course, they have more apps on Ethereum already. They have a lot of layer 2s coming out. Perhaps it will be a better ecosystem or a more used ecosystem at least, and that price that we're currently seeing, that 8x over Solana, will be justified. But really, to me, it's a little bit risky looking at Ethereum. You're hoping that ETH 2.0 goes well. That's a huge upgrade. If it doesn't go well, that could be really, really terrible for the ecosystem. Right now, Sol is essentially a finished product in terms of the technology. Now, of course, there's lots of apps coming out. We'll get into one of the new apps that's dropping for Solana. The ecosystem is not as built up, but I'd say it's more built up than many of these other ecosystems like Avalanche. It's really growing quite rapidly. So here we have another Cointelegraph article just talking about how the SOL price is nearing 200, and this is in part due to FTX launching a Solana-enabled NFT Marketplace. So I looked into this marketplace a bit on FTX. It's actually live now. You can go in here if you search FTX. This is in the US. They also have an international version. And you can look, they have some pretty cool NFTs on here. Whatever might suit your fancy, go ahead and check them out. But anyhow, I have just started to get into this. Haven't played around too much yet with the FTX exchange. My understanding is this has both ETH as well as Solana NFTs present. And really, in the Solana ecosystem, the NFTs have been driving growth. Here we have Mike Tyson. This is Mike Tyson's Twitter page, and you'll see that he's got a SolCat, maybe a little brother or sister of Chrissy back there. So Mike Tyson appears to be into Solana. He at least has a profile picture of a SolCat right now. He asked earlier today, Solana or Ethereum, which has gotten almost 10,000 comments right now. Certainly that is the debate. I think really long term, both of these are going to interact with each other. I'm not really bearish on Ethereum. I think it's a good blockchain. It's just not very usable right now, at least not for me and for the 99% of people out there that don't want to pay $100, $200 in gas. So we'll see long term what happens here. Now, Steve Harvey appears that he's also getting into the Solana NFT game. His profile picture here has a Solana NFT. I believe this is the Solana monkey business group of NFTs. And these actually have been exploding. I understand the prices are really ridiculous right now for these monkey business NFTs. A little out of my price range. I'm not going to check into those personally. And I think that Soul Cats and Soul Bears look better, but you be the judge. Okay, some other interesting news here. It was announced today that there's a new app on Solana coming. It's called DeFi Land. They just completed a $4.1 million funding round to launch a gamified DeFi app on Solana. So they talk about the partners here. This article is on Crypto News Flash. Again, I will link this in the description. DeFi Land here on Twitter. They said they are a gamified decentralized finance, bringing DeFi to the masses. So it looks like they're going to be doing some cool things with this, having, I guess, practice DeFi essentially, as well as real DeFi on their platform. And that practice, or that virtual DeFi, can give you the chance to play around and see how you are at how your proceeds go in this ecosystem. So there's not a whole lot of news out on this yet. Check out their Twitter, check out the website. Got that right here. So gamified decentralized finance here on DeFi Land. So this is the web page for the ecosystem, or rather for the app. So it says DeFi Land is a multi-chain agricultural simulation web game created to gamify decentralized finance. Our game will have all the features that traditional platforms have, but it'll be gathered all in one place. DeFi Land gamifies decentralized finance by turning investment activities into games. Now, just looking at this web page and reading the description, this sounds like something I'm going to really like. Hopefully not too much. If you click play right now, I was hoping to get something here. Just says coming soon. So I'll be updating you all when this comes out, and we'll see how DeFi Land looks. So with that, we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Pretty soon here, I'm going to start live streaming, and please join me on here. You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, at Freddy Frijole. Please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time.